Rag Boy here, and we're trying something a little different. Ever since we started doing these how-to videos, I always kind of hoped as time went on I'd transition to have my kids more involved in doing some of the videos. Well, Jeff Walker, aka Surfdad, just posted a tip about recycling traction. It just so happens that we have some traction we need to move on our board. It was put on wrong by Whitney. So I had this idea that I'm just going to print out his tip and hand it to my kids and say, whatever you need, let me know. And not tell them anything else. I'm not going to help them. I'm just going to say, recycle the traction, go for it. And so what you're about to see is them doing that. And it's pretty funny because you'll notice as they go along, they fumble their way through it and they make a bunch of mistakes, but they get it done, and at the end they kind of tell you what not to do and what to do. But I think it came out pretty well. So let's watch RJ and Whitney fumble their way through Surfdad's tip on recycling traction.
Okay, this is Whitney from Week 9 and RJ, my little apprentice here. Basically what we're doing here today is that on the Northwest wakesurfing competition, I put my traction on too far back. And that was a big mistake because I can't...
front traction on.
Yeah, the front traction. The back traction is fine where it is. But I can't ride the board because the traction, it messes me up.
Plus you just can't ride the board anyways.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move the traction up. And we have a great tip from Jeff Walker, and RJ here will tell you what to do. Don't mess up, RJ.
Okay, I'll try to mess up.
No setup.
So basically Jeff Walker gave us a great tip on how to remove the traction and then place it back on to wherever you need it to be. I'm just going to go over the steps right now. Basically what he said is get a blow dryer, our handy dandy blow dryer. We use this for a lot of things, not to mention we use it for our hair. Yeah. Okay, so basically, we have our hair dryer, and we're going to use this to melt off the sticky wax off the bottom of the traction. So we're going to do that, and then he said to do it very slowly, and as you're melting the traction, just slowly peel it off and melt more goop. Peel it off and melt more goop. You don't want to do it too fast. I mean, just tearing it off too fast because you might rip it, or stretch the traction. Yes. And then after you did that, you just move the traction where you need to be. Where it needs to be. He said most of the time you're not going to need to re-goop the traction. Just use pressure and it'll stick on. But if the some of the glue got taken off, we have a adhesive spray. He said to use 3M HS90. We did not find 3M HS90, we found 77, but I just want to make it a note that he said use 90. Anywho, we're gonna do this. Okay, right now I'm heating up the goop on the traction. And it's slowly coming off.
I wonder how long it takes to get it off.
Okay, anywho, I've been using the blow dryer, and I've been slowly peeling this off while using the blow dryer to melt this goo. You can't quite see it, but as I've been taking off this goop, some of it's been sticking to my hands, and it's actually come off the traction. So on those parts, I'm gonna use some of this to make it stick better when I put it back on. So I mean, it's pretty simple. You just use the blow dryer and slowly peel it off, so you don't stretch or so you don't stretch or rip the traction. Okay, we got all the traction off, and we did that by just heating it up, and like I explained with the blow dryer and everything. And actually, we made a mistake. We accidentally, if you can see that, we bent the end of that traction. There's a chance we might have to get a whole nother center frame, but hopefully we can straighten this out. Anywho, we tried using the 3M77 like I showed before, but there's a reason why you don't use that, like Jeff Walker mentioned. It doesn't work. It does not stick good. So we got the 3M90, and we're going to use it now to try to put on this piece of traction. So, okay, I have this tape here surrounded by the board for two reasons. One, I wanted to mark off where I wanted to put the traction, and two, I'm going to be spraying the adhesive onto the traction pad. I don't want to be able to get anything on the board where I don't want it to. So anyways, I'm going to start going. And I read the directions. It said to shake well. I'm shaking. Then it said to 4 to 6 inches away, so I will do about 4 to 6 inches away. 4 to 6 inches away.
That's like a foot.
It's not a foot.
Lower. Right there.
Oh, snap. Okay. Vaya con Dios.
That means go with God, not God is with me.
God is with me. Hey, check it out. Is it stuck to my finger?
It's really cold.
Okay, so we have this tape right here to give us kind of a good idea where we need to put this traction pad right here. So we measured the difference between my board, and that was like 2 centimeters or something. We just put it on here. Anywho, once we put this first one on, all the other ones are going to be a lot easier to put on because they kind of like arch. You can see right here, they kind of go in a nice straight line, and we're just going to follow that pattern on this board. So, let's see how it goes. Okay, right now, we are waiting for the adhesive to get a little bit drier, like the bottle says. And so...
Can Jeff Walker do this alone, you think?
What?
You think Jeff Walker does this all alone? How long it takes him?
20 minutes.
Either a bunch of idiots, or like, Jeff Walker's a master of recycling traction. That might be it.
Okay, I just want to make another note when you're putting on when you're spraying the adhesive onto the traction. You want a really thin layer of adhesive onto the traction because if it's too thick, it will not dry and it'll move around way too much. If it's thin, it gives you just enough time to be able to place it and move it around just a bit, and then it'll dry. Okay, we got the board done. We moved the traction up to where we wanted it now, and I just want to say thank you very much to Surfdad, aka Jeff Walker, for making the very good point of how to recycle your traction. We just want to make a few good points about doing the traction. We learned the hard way, and so hopefully you don't have to learn the hard way. Basically, okay, the first point is when you're taking out the traction, and Jeff Walker mentions this too, is take the blow dryer and do it nice and slow. We did it a bit fast at first on this right here, and we accidentally bent the traction, and it doesn't stick now because we bent it, and we couldn't quite fix it all the way. So make sure when you do it, you take it off nice and slow, and you don't bend it or stretch the traction at all. And then
we use to get all the goo off, all the excess goo off, is we use Lift Off. I think it works better than Gooby Gone, and I would just recommend it highly because it really does work.
Or Lift Off or Gooby Gone, just something
that's
of the terms.
Gooey.
Yeah.
Be gone. And then other thing is that use 3M HS90. We started with 77 and it didn't work at all. It wasn't sticky enough and it was just awful. So Surfdad was being very specific. Use 90.
Yeah, it has to be 90. I mean, if none of your local stores have it, I mean, order it. You cannot do this with 77. Okay. Second, when you're placing the traction on, you want to make sure that when you spray the adhesive onto the traction, that you do a thin film. A thin film. If it's too thick, this traction will not stick to the board, it will not dry, and it moves around way too much. It has to be a thin film, because if you do it thin, it sticks a lot better and it dries a lot quicker. So, thin film. Also,
one last thing is that the board, there is some excess adhesive all over the place, and we're going to clean it up tomorrow, early up, so that way we just know everything is dry, and we won't take everything off.
Handy dandy. Okay, so that's all the points we wanted to make. The traction isn't put on perfect. That's our bad.
It's like, it's messy, but it works.
Yeah, but I mean, it still works.
It is his fault.
And it was our first try. Hopefully we'll get better over time. But, you know, have fun, keep surfing, and
Good
now
luck.
you know how to recycle traction. Yeah. Wake night out.
Dude, next time you do that, I'm throwing the camera at your head.
What did he do?